For me, there's if I always go with my gut with everything, and if it doesn't scare you and overwhelm you and excite you all at the same time, I don't think it's worth doing.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
anything feels daunting at first. You look at something new and you don't know where to start. Um, but I think the more you get good at it, then that becomes what your niche is. That becomes what you are.
Yeah.
The advice that I give to anybody who walks into my gym is you want to do too much too soon, where it's like you've done zero up to this point. You're 35, 40 years old, whatever it may be. And now you're like, I'm going to go from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm going to go from never doing shit. I've never even sniffed the inside of a
Yeah.
gym to now I'm going to do this 6 days a week. My encouragement to everybody out there is just fucking start, whether even if it's February or March and you still haven't started yet, start now. Start then. Start whenever it is. Anytime you get that fucking crazy idea in your head, just start.
I love he had to direct the camera on that one.
Yeah.
It's that important, everybody.
Yeah. Hey guys, Kenny Santucci, trainer, gym owner, and the owner of Strong New York. And this is Ever Forward Radio. I thought anything was wrong.
I'm trying.
You look great on camera.
Well, that's just the magic of 4K and 4K filters. But man, Kenny, it's been like almost 5 years since you've been back on the show, man.
Yeah. It's crazy. And we did it in like a little coffee shop.
Yeah, like across from your apartment,
Yeah.
and just like took over a couch and just kind of getting to know you then and staying in touch with you over the years, man. It's been just love seeing what you're doing here in New York for the New York community, for the global community. Got to hang out with Strong New York finally for the first time a couple months ago.
Yeah. What did you think? Give me your honest opinion.
My honest opinion was it was more than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be kind of just like an expo-y type thing,
Yeah.
but the way that you had it partitioned up of panel speakers, and then you could go do the workouts, people could compete, could do their thing, then you had the booths. It was more than I was originally expecting. I thought it was just going to be typical expo.
Yeah.
We got to work on, I would love to come back and do like the live podcast thing that we did.
Yeah.
I got to work on a better setup. I was getting
Okay.
some bleed over from the stage.
Okay.
But it's an easy fix.
That's an easy fix.
It's an easy fix, yeah.
Yeah.
But man, the speakers, the connection,
Yeah,
like
we could have like a green room, like one of the
Yeah,
green
yeah,
rooms or
yeah, yeah.
something for you for
Easy.
sure. I wanted to put you in the mix so that like that's in the background, you know. So it
we kind of got some shots like through the glass. We could get a little bit there, but we'll work on it. We'll work on it, man. But thanks again for having me and
No,
Everforward Radio.
it was
there.
great. I think it was when I was looking at other people because I wanted that aspect of it, right? I wanted people to come and like get other value out of being there,
Right,
especially the speakers and the presenters. To get on a big podcast.
Yeah.
Obviously it helps you out because it gives you content.
Oh, total win-win.
Yeah, and it gets them a little bit different exposure. People probably didn't even know what the fucking podcast was, but they'll sit there and watch you guys chat.
Yeah.
So it was cool. I think I appreciate you coming by and doing your
My
thing,
pleasure,
'cause It was
man.
great. Yeah.
I'm gonna start things off by actually a quote. Do you know this guy Dan Coe? He has a podcast called the Co-Cast, and he's big on Twitter. Great writer, YouTube, all the things.
Okay.
And I was kind of just sitting having some breakfast this morning, and I saw this quote, and he goes, "Quote: When starting something new, you will feel overwhelmed. It's new. You aren't supposed to know what you're doing yet. If you can't accept overwhelm, you will never reach clarity."
Mhm.
How do you feel about that messaging around overwhelm being necessary in order to get clarity as we're talking here in the new year? I feel like this is probably pertinent for a lot of people.
Yeah, for me, there's if I always go with my gut with everything, and if it doesn't scare you and overwhelm you and excite you all at the same time, I don't think it's worth doing.
Yeah.
I think anything feels daunting at first. You look at something new and you don't know where to start. But I think the more you get good at it, then that becomes what your niche is. That becomes what you are
Yeah.
good at. I was just watching a podcast with Goggins and Huberman, and they were talking about this part of your brain that grows when you start to do things that you don't like doing or feel comfortable doing. It grows the neural pathways in this certain part of your brain that helps you, not only live longer, but also take on other tasks that you don't like to do, right? So everything becomes easier when you start to do things that you don't like to do. So I think I've always been that type of person. There's a lot of things I don't like doing that I'm like, if I just get this done, I'll be so much better after it. So
What do you think comes first for most people? The worry about the physical difficulty and we'll say, pursuit of health and fitness goals
Mhm.
here, or like the mental aspect?
I think it's definitely mental with most people. The physical, after you watch somebody else do it, then it becomes a lot easier for most people to do it. I think it's the fear of walking into a situation that you don't feel completely comfortable.
Hmm.
And I think the more comfortable you could get with yourself, and that's why I push health and wellness. There's so many people are always like, well, what's
He's
the
a
purpose
pusher,
of strong?
everybody. He's a health pusher.
there's there's so many aspects of like why I do strong and why my heart's so in this thing. And one of them is to give people the confidence to walk into certain situations that they don't feel comfortable in. And the gym is one of those places people walk. I mean, even for myself, like I walk into a gym that I've never been to, and you whether people say they're not um, or they are, when you walk into a room, especially a gym, and you have whatever you're wearing on, whether it's something scantily clad or fully dressed, people are sizing you up.
Mm.
Right? Guys do it all the time, girls do it all the time. So you walk into a gym and you're like, oh shit, immediately feel uncomfortable. And some people like that attention. That's why they go. And other people are like, I just want to be left alone and do my thing and get out of here. So I think mostly for most people, I think it's the idea of like, this is going to be a long journey and I don't even want to take the first step because I'm going to fail. So I try to convince people like, it's just, you need to treat it like brushing your teeth, wiping your ass, any other hygiene. You just need to show up to the gym every day and not even think about it. Just go and do something.
Right now, as we're recording, it's January 2024. So I'm sure for a lot of people, maybe even you included, we got a lot of new year, new me goals, aspirations on our mind. But being in the health and fitness industry yourself, and a guy who takes care of yourself year after year, what have you seen? Let's say the end of the year. What have you seen as a goal that you think a lot of people set at the beginning that they just completely underestimate come the end of the year and are probably not adherent?
Um, I've been doing this a long time, 10 plus years, and I've seen the trend definitely change. I think there's a lot of people who have adopted fitness as a lifestyle and as part of who they are um, over the years, especially comparing it to where I was like when I started. I started working out in 1996. So there wasn't as many gyms, there wasn't as much information
No.
available. There wasn't as many people going to the gym. And over the years, I've seen it definitely change. I think some of the big catalysts that I've noticed were social media. It had a huge impact on it. Different celebrities adopting it and making it a mainstream thing. CrossFit, I would
Oh, yeah.
definitely think has helped women predominantly adopt strength training and things like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
They made it more socially acceptable. Um, but yeah, over the years, I think there are people who are going to get it done. They're like, I'm going to start, whether it's November, December, January, it doesn't matter. I'm going to start right now. And I think that's my advice to everyone is to start as soon as you get the idea in your head, just go and do it. Like, don't even think about it. Buy your membership, go to the gym, do whatever you need to do as soon as you possibly can. Don't wait for this shit. I mean, what the
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah.
is the point of waiting? You're only getting worse. Um, but I think with January and everybody getting so excited about it, I think you psych yourself out. And the advice that I give to anybody who walks into my gym is you want to do too much too soon, where it's like you've done zero up to this point. You're 35, 40 years old, whatever it may be. And now you're like, I'm going to go from 0 to 1,000.
Yeah.
I'm going to go from never doing shit. I've never even sniffed the inside of a
Yeah.
gym to now I'm going to do this 6 days a week. It's like,
I'm gonna go
it's
from
the
worst shape of
stupid.
my life to best shape of my life. Why
Yeah.
not go worst shape of my life to just a little better?
Yeah. And I tell people start with one day.
Yeah.
Just try one fucking day a week, and see if that works. And then if one day gets easy, then you'll start to crave it a little bit more. You do 2, 3, and so on and so forth. But it's like, don't think you're going to do all this. Everybody comes in the gym and is like, I want to look like Tiana Taylor or fucking, Beyonce. And I'm like, do you realize these women have been working out their whole fucking lives?
Decades.
It's not
Decades.
even like a a thing to them where they're like, oh, maybe I'll do it today, maybe I won't. It's like, no, it's part of who they are. It's part of their DNA at this point. So my encouragement to everybody out there is just fucking start, whether even if it's February or March and you still haven't started yet, start now. Start then. Start whenever it is. Anytime you get that fucking crazy idea in your head, just start.
Yeah. I love he had to direct the camera on that one.
Yeah.
It's that important, everybody.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. Like because I'm such a firm believer, and this isn't something that started when fucking Instagram started. Like I've been a health and wellness advocate my whole life. I was very fat as a kid, and that's where it all started. And I felt very uncomfortable then. And everybody's like, well, you haven't been heavy since you were a kid. I'm like, yes, but the most traumatic shit that could happen in your life that you'll remember forever. Like if I get picked on now or somebody makes fun of me now, I don't give a fuck. I'm 40. I'm fucking old.
You know it's about them.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
you no longer think it's like my issue. Yeah.
Exactly. I could decipher the fact, like if somebody's yelling at me on the street, I'm like, I don't know this person. I don't give a fuck. But like if you're a kid on the playground and somebody's picking on you, you feel it. Like that's the most.
Oh, it changes your entire view of the world.
Exactly.
For yourself.
Think about how many people go to fucking therapy still at 40, 50, 60 years old because of some shit that happened to them when they were 7.
Working through the childhood trauma. Yeah.
So.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Which is great. No,
I'm not to show you how long it sticks with you.
Yeah. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying like that's the most important part and time of your life. And that's when you're the most vulnerable. So for me, it was a point of my life that I was the most vulnerable. And I realized I'm like, well, fuck, nobody's going to help me with this. I have to do it for myself. Yeah. So do it now, and help the younger people, the younger generation, kids, especially kids. Like my nieces and nephews, I encourage my brother and my sister. I'm like, take them to the fucking gym now. Get them used to it. Make them think that this is what you should be doing. Just like you take them to fucking church on Sunday, take them to the gym and they should be working out because they should realize that this is a part of life. Because it definitely fucking scarred me. I mean, it's the only thing I've dedicated my life to this because I'm like, well, the worst thing to me in life is to be fat again. And anybody who's like, no, I love being a fat fuck. I'm like, no, you don't. Nobody does. Nobody's like, oh, this is great. My fucking gut hangs over my pants. It's like, it's uncomfortable. Trust me. I know I was there.
I've been in my fat fuck phase for the last like couple of weeks, the holidays, like where I'm at now is like, this is how it starts. You give up a little bit, you indulge, which is like, you got to do it, right? It's like travel, holidays, of course you can find a way to make anything happen, but I've just been letting loose a little bit, a lot of it. And for me, I'm like, oh, this is the worst that I want to feel. Yeah. And I'm picking right back up.
And you're in fucking great shape. And you're like, oh, I feel like
I was fishing for the compliment. Thank you. Yeah.
No, like, but think about it. There are people where I can't fathom. There are times when I'm scrolling through like dating sites and stuff. And I'm like, it's so fucked up that I think like this. But at the same time, I want to be like, just let me help you. Like you're clearly on here because you want to get fucking laid and you want to have a relationship. If I just
you want love, you want happiness.
Yeah, and I want that for everybody. I think everybody should have that. But not looking like this, you're not going to get there like this. I could seriously open up your fucking dating world. Just give me 3 months or 4 months. And
dude, I think the same thing.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, it's fucked up to think like that. I'm like, you know what? They're thinking the same thing. They just can't admit it to themselves. But like, I know how I felt. You don't understand it until you've been there before, especially at a vulnerable point in your life. I think women after pregnancy have to deal with that. I think kids have to deal with that. I think people who are in front of an audience have to deal with that. Like there's nowhere to hide.
Right. Yeah.
I was one of these people where I was like kind of constantly adjusting my shirt because my fat would my shirt would get stuck between my fat roll. I hated that. Like I know how uncomfortable that could be. I was 13, 14 years old and I was wearing the same size pants as my 45-year-old father.
Wow.
Right. So like you think about that, you're like, oh, this is fucking bad.
Yeah.
This is terrible. Yeah. And everybody else is, when I remember, those little sports cards that you get as a kid, they put your picture on there and then they put your.
Oh yeah. Like you're playing baseball.
And you're playing baseball and they give you like
you're an MLB
card,
guy.
basketball card. So I played basketball when I was like in 4th, 5th grade and I lied about my weight. In 4th grade, I was like 120 pounds. And everybody else was like 65 pounds.
You were already that self-conscious and aware.
Yeah. And I was that aware. Well, because they're weighing us in and then they're putting your profile on the back.
You're like 85 pounds.
Yeah. And I erased the number and put a lighter weight. And I'll never forget it. I remember there was, what was I, 11, maybe 10 years old?
Yeah.
At the time. And it was it hurt so much to like erase the number and put something else. And I'm like, I'm lying by like 15, 20 pounds. And this is crazy.
Yo, can we crop this? Can we bring it just, neck up?
Like everybody else's basketball uniform was baggy. Mine was like tight as shit, So you feel it. It's definitely scarred me for sure.
Well, you're doing fine now. I've been on your path.
My ass off.
I see you work your ass off, and I see you work the asses off of a lot of other people, as weird as that sounds. But, what I love, one of the things that I love most about what I see you and the whole team at Strong New York do is you kind of, and I'm wondering if this is intentional and how you go about it. You're working on a very niche local community.
Yeah.
You're building community, you're empowering the New York community, but also like a global community at the same time. How do you focus on helping the people closest to you, literally coming through your doors in the gym, and the ones that like you're helping digitally all over the world? Like, is there a different approach there? How do you help both?
I've been a gym owner and a trainer for, it's over 10 years now. I opened my first gym over 10 years ago. And what I tell everybody is everybody always wants more clients and everybody's fighting over the same fucking 10 people who do CrossFit or whatever it may be. There's so many people that need your help. There's 8 million people in the city. When you think about it, there's not enough gyms for all the people that are here. There's really not, right? All I need for my gym to be very successful is 250 people. If I had 250 people through my door every day, I'd be making money hand over fist. I'd be in a really good spot. I don't have that because there's not enough people doing fitness. So it's like when it becomes more and more mainstream, when people realize like, hey, I should be doing something, then everybody will be doing fine. The gyms should be just as overflowing as some of these restaurants. Like when there's a 2.5 hour wait for people to get fucking cookies and cupcakes and pastries and shit. Yeah. Like you go to some of these restaurants on a weekend during brunch, and there's a line down the block for people.
Oh, we'll wait 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. Minutes. Yeah.
I go, but you won't go to a fucking gym. I want to start pulling some of these people.
You could get a workout while you're waiting.
Yes. You should come to the fucking gym and then go get this fucking pastry. It's crazy to me that people will wait in line for burgers and bullshit, and they won't go to the gym. So everybody needs to realize that you have to focus on the people you have. And I think that's where my successes come from. Like somebody pointed out to me the other day, they're like, yo, you've been doing this for 15 years. You were able to make a career out of this and provide for yourself for this long off of just owning your own business. And I was like, fuck, I never even thought of it like that. That is pretty impressive. And I'm on this path because I've been reading this book about like celebrating your wins.
What are you reading? If you want to share.
Yes. Hold on.
It's that good.
I don't read. I listen to audiobooks. Psycho-cybernetics, that's what it's called.
Psycho-cybernetics.
Oh my God.
I haven't heard of that.
Great book.
Okay.
And it's an older book. It's not as, you hear the name and you're like, oh, is this some reason? No, it's from the 40s or 50s or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And a plastic surgeon wrote it. And it's basically the psychology of like understanding if somebody changes their face or somebody changes a part of their body, does that necessarily change their subconscious?
Oh,
and your subconscious kind of rules whatever thing you do. Like if you have this self-belief that you're still a fat kid, then you're going to act like that.
Right.
So it might not necessarily just be changing the body. You have to change your train of thought and like the way you look at yourself and feel about yourself. And one of the easiest ways to do this, and one of the best takeaways that I've had from this is, realizing that you have won and that you could continue to win. So the fact that like...
Go back and say that again, please.
Celebrating the fact that you have won and that you could continue to win. And I think that's one of those things that like people don't realize. They're like, well, I'm this and I'm that and I can't get out of this and I can't get out of that. But that's not true, right? When you look at people, certain people, let's just take a movie, for instance, right? Like you look at the cast of movie stars and you're like, your first thought, right? When I used to take acting classes, I would have thought everybody in the room would be beautiful. Everybody be just as attractive as Brad Pitt.
You got to be in order to be a movie star, right?
To be a movie star.
Yeah.
But then you look around the room and you're like, oh my God, that guy's so fucking talented. He's really good.
Yeah.
Like he just convinced me that he was somebody else. And I'm sitting right here and he's a disaster of a man. He looks like dog shit, but he should be an actor.
Yeah.
And there are so many people, like look at some of the best actors. Like I always look at, for instance, me and my brother were talking about Danny DeVito the other day. Here's a short, fat, ugly little guy who's had a career forever. He's had
Like
TV
40
shows in the
years. Yeah,
60s,
yeah.
70s, right? He was on Taxi,
Mhm.
and then he was on
Always Sunny.
Always Sunny in
Yeah.
Philadelphia, and then he had a huge movie career. I mean, this guy's been famous. And if you've ever seen him in person, he can't be less attractive, right?
Now he's like the Jersey Mike Subs.
Yeah,
Like
like he's. But when
endorser.
you think about it, right? He never let what he looks like
Yeah.
affect his trajectory.
That's the beauty of talent, right?
Yes,
It's the beauty
but,
of talent.
But that's the thing. But like he believes. Did you watch the Arnold documentary?
Yeah, yeah.
Here's a guy who came from another country, has the worst accent still to this day, right? He never let anything stop. That motherfucker, anytime somebody's like, who would you want to have dinner with? I'm like, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I go, because this guy has put himself at the top of 3 different fucking genres, and is synonymous with all 3 of them, right? Like when Governor of California, I can't name another one other than the current one.
Yeah, yeah.
Then, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And that's for like shitty reasons, but
yeah. Yeah, the only reason I know the
there.
current guy is because he's a piece of shit. But, bodybuilding, you're like, even if Chris Bumstead still, let's say he wins 10 more times, he's still not Arnold. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
The peak.
He is the pinnacle.
Yeah.
He is the fucking Hulk Hogan of, bodybuilding. And then when it comes to like movies, I'm like, it defined our generation. Total
Action
Recall,
stars. Yeah.
Predator, Commando,
Yeah.
Terminator, right? Like those were massive movies.
Kindergarten Cop.
80s
Like
and 90s.
the talent, the transition.
Yeah.
Like
80s and 90s, he fucking ruled it.
Yeah.
Ruled it. And there's nothing he doesn't touch. It doesn't turn to gold. So when you look at somebody like that who had everything working against him and he still made it happen. Like there are so many people, there's so many examples out there that those people should not have won, but they believed in themselves and they won. And it's the little wins, it's the little chipaways that happen. Even for myself, I'm like, I still look at myself as like a fat kid from fucking New Jersey. I'm like, I grew up in Newark, New Jersey, to a very, very blue collar family. Like my family had nothing. And I'm like, here I am. I'm like, oh, I own a gym. And some people are like, well, you only own a small gym. I'm like, yeah, but I still have come so much further than anybody else in my family. No one in my family worked in health and fitness. No one in my family could help me run a business. There was no one who could really guide me through this. I had to do it all myself.
Yeah.
And I had to figure it out. And I lost a lot. I lost money in my first gym. I lost my second gym. I go, this is my 3rd time around. I'm just fucking relentless in the pursuit of like, even if I lose this one, I'm going to go open another one because that's all I know and that's all I want to do. So that's the goal. For me, it's just, and I have won before. I've done, when I was on television, I won. When I was in high school and wrestling, I won. When I was in college, like the things I'm like, if I just fucking put all my effort towards this thing, I'm going to be good. I just started jiu-jitsu back in May.
I saw that. Yeah. Dude, you're diversifying your fitness and wellness portfolio like a mofo.
So, but like
I see you at the range. I see you rolling.
Yeah, I try to do a fucking everything. I'm trying to just live my best life. And if I ever do have kids or something, I want to be able to teach them a little bit of everything. I even started trying to play piano.
Really?
Yeah, and it's very hard for me because I'm so musically uninclined.
That's funny. There's this kind of like resurgence of a creative strain. We talk to a lot of people I know, and they're just like, yeah, I think I want to pick back up piano. I'm thinking about picking back up guitar. I used to play guitar back in high school in like early 20s. I haven't touched one in like 10, 15 years.
Really?
And it's just, I don't know if it's just like the age that we're at. We maybe have a lot of fulfillment in other areas. We need to like go back to kind of some things that used to fulfill us.
I think people being more creative, one, it opens up new neural pathways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, but when you're creating something, you just feel more valuable to the world, right? Like if you could create something, that this is something you could share with other people.
Creating something out of nothing, quite literally. Yeah.
Like I was an art major in college.
No shit.
Yeah. And I love like the whole shirt side of the business, like all the graphics and shit that we do. Like that's just for me to.
That came from your past.
Yeah.
No shit.
It's just like something I enjoy doing. Like we don't really make any money off it. Like everybody's like,
but there's your creative outlet.
Yeah. People are like, oh, you must kill it on the shirts and shit. I'm like, no, I actually lose money on it. I go, but I just enjoy doing it and I keep doing it.
So I'm gonna go back to what you were kind of talking about a few moments ago about these kind of like simple steps. And I love this recent post that you put up about become unrecognizable in 6 months.
Yeah.
And the things that you put up, you're recommending to people, you're coaching them on, are not wild, outlandish, crazy shit. You would think to become unrecognizable in really a short period of time, 6 months, you got to do the craziest shit every day.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing you reduce, if not eliminate alcohol, do 40 push-ups a day, connect with people. What is it about the simple steps compounded that turn into some of the most transformational things anyone could ever do?
I think it's what we first started talking about was like this daunting task of like looking down the road and being like, oh my God, there's so much to do in front of me. I have to do this every day. Stop looking at it every day and just on that day, do it. Right. Because, who was it? It was a CrossFit athlete, Josh Bridges. Josh Bridges was explaining one time, this is a long time ago. I went to go see him speak at it was like Wadapalooza, the CrossFit Games or something.
Oh, yeah.
And he was talking and he said, they were like, how do you attack a chipper? Right. And it's always the way I thought of it. And when you hear somebody say something the same way you feel about it, you're like, oh, he's just reinforcing what I believe. And that's why I like him.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, everybody looks at a chipper and they're like looking at the whole board and they're like, oh my God, there's so many exercises on this, but you can't do them all at once. You just need to do the one that's up next.
And then another one.
Yeah.
And then another one.
Yeah. So when you look at your day, you're like, all right, what do I have to get done today? Stop looking at the whole day. It's like, okay, it's all right, I got to brush my teeth. After that, I got to get ready and go to work. And after that, I got to walk to work. So stop looking at like, oh, I got a meeting at 5 p.m. Well, it's not here yet. You can't do anything about it. So fuck the meeting, So that's the way I look at life. I'm like, all right, this is my hour. I'm going to handle this hour. And then when the next hour comes up, I'll handle that. And I think more people just need to look at it that way. Stop looking down the road and being like, oh, I have all this shit. I'm never going to be able to drink alcohol again. I'm not saying that. But the more times you say no to like the easy yes, like when you're like, stop saying fuck it all the time and just be like, okay, I know that this
Stop and go, why?
Yeah.
Just ask yourself why.
And especially during the week, it's like, what are you getting fucked up for during the week? Have I done that before? Absolutely. I've been there before. I've done it. And I think if that's what you need to do to get it out of your system, go and do it. But at the end of the day, we're learning more and more about alcohol. And, the information that's available now wasn't available 10, 15, 20 years ago. When we were in our 20s, everybody had, fucking Ed Hardy shirts on and we're buying bottles at stupid clubs and shit. No, I don't know if people do that anymore.
Dude,
I don't hang out with anybody.
I don't remember the last time I did that. I don't remember the last time I heard anybody even talk about as like, oh, that's what I did over the weekend.
Yeah.
It's like,
But that was like a huge thing for our generation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Where it's like, I don't think people do that anymore. And I think alcohol is now going to become like cigarettes, right? Like people, when you hear somebody smoke cigarettes, you're like,
when I see a person smoking, I'm like, wait, people still do that?
Yeah.
Are you
It's
kidding
so mind-boggling to me. So I think people are going to start treating alcohol like that. But nowadays it's like, I think it's just that task. It's like, all right, I need to just make a better choice in this situation at this moment, in this hour. I'm going to go get lunch. Oh, should I get pasta? And I'll get questions from clients all the time. Should I get pasta or should I get a salad or should I get a steak? And it's like, what the fuck do you think I'm going to say? Right? Did you need to text me and ask me that?
Yeah.
Like, the answer. It's a fucking...
You're just a glutton for punishment. You want me to yell at you? Sure. Yeah.
But that's the way I answer it because I'm like, I want you to feel
Wait, for
fucking
real?
stupid in this moment. Right? In this moment, that the salad basically doesn't have any fucking value. And if it does, it's all fat.
Coach Kenny says, what the fuck do you think?
Yeah. And then the pasta is like, what? Come on. Like, it's stupid. It's the middle of the day. You're going to have a fucking bowl of pasta? If you need it that bad, save it for the weekend.
Yeah.
And that's what I've tried to teach people how to do. Even my mom, like everybody's like, oh, you're kind of hard on certain clients. I'm like, I'm hard on everyone across the board. I'm hard on myself. It starts with me. I'm the worst to myself. I'm always like, I'm a fucking idiot. I fucked up on this. I fucked up on that. You have to like treat everybody across. And that's why I love like comedy and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody's safe. A great comedian makes fun of everybody. you know?
And everything. Yeah.
And everything. Like, you can't just like be like, oh, I only pick on this one thing. It's like, no, you pick on everything. And so when my clients come to me and they're like, oh, should I come in today? Just one of my clients today. He was supposed to come in Sunday, missed Sunday. He missed yesterday, missed Tuesday. He's like, don't yell at me. I go, listen, you're only fucking yourself, right? That's why you look like dog shit. I can't help you. I can't help the hopeless, right? You know where I'm at. Could I come in at 4? You know I'm here at 4.
Yeah.
Come in at fucking 4 o'clock and we'll do it. But you're not going to come in because you're a lazy fuck, you know? And he's like, all right, I'll see you at 4 o'clock. I'm like, thank you.
True.
I'll see that. Yeah. And it's never even about that. Like, I'm not even like, oh, hey, I chose this career because one day I'm going to own a boat and a house on the water. No, I don't know too many people in the fitness industry who do that, who have that type of shit.
And if they do, they're no longer really in the fitness industry.
No, they're not in the, they're in the fucking entertainment world.
Right,
They're
exactly.
on YouTube making fucking that type of money.
You know, as we kind of look towards 2024 and someone who day in, day out works in and honors his own health and fitness, I've got a list of a few trends that I believe are going to be really kind of strongholds in maybe just like social media, but I think where we're kind of seeing a lot of people go towards. I'd love to get your input. I see a lot of people shifting away from gym culture in a certain way. Like, it's not really as heavy bodybuilding. It's not as heavy like hard weights. It's still there a little bit, but I'm seeing this massive uptick in cardio and running, like run clubs, and even rucking, kind of going low intensity, steady state training. Do you agree? Do you kind of see that happening as well?
Well, listen, I mean, there are so many people out there now who are like, I'm a hybrid athlete. Hybrid athlete.
So trending right now.
I go, you're a fucking CrossFitter.
Yeah.
That's CrossFit.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it's like you missed the first wave. You're on the second wave. We're just calling it something different.
You're just not really doing power cleans all the time.
Because, you know, 5 years ago, Matt Frazier was running 4, 5, 10 miles, 15 miles, you know, and then could go and deadlift 500 pounds. That's a hybrid athlete, right? Do you have a 5-minute mile and a 500-pound deadlift? Like, I mean, there are so many guys out there who are doing that shit in CrossFit, and now everybody's calling it a hybrid athlete. I think you're seeing a swing towards that long endurance and strength training, you know, bodybuilding type thing.
I see the long endurance stuff more. I think it's being gravitated towards because it's less of a lone survivor kind of thing. It's usually groups, which I think there's another component of community and people finally coming together.
Yeah, I think the run club thing is becoming a huge thing. Like, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, even 10 years ago, I was a part of the New York Roadrunners for, you know, a long time. Like, if you wanted to go run with a group, you go run with the New York Roadrunners. Nowadays, there's like 15, and I follow them, and I like what these guys are doing. You know, they tend to run when I'm working. Yeah. But I was even thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go run with one of these groups. I'll do like a 4-mile or 5-mile run. And then there's like the hardo groups who are like, you got to sprint the whole 5 miles. I'm like, well, I'm not fucking doing that.
Why is it going to be all or nothing?
I don't know. And then there's other ones where it's like, it's just community driven. And I think people are looking for that. I think the craziest thing to me is when people are still fucking working out with apps and shit in their homes. It's like, what are you doing? Get out, go meet people. Yeah. I encourage people, like, join the run clubs, go to gyms, interact with people, because there's another part of your brain that needs to engage with other people to get stimulation.
What about one other trend I'm going to bring up? 2023, in my opinion, was the year of, besides a lot of things, was optimization, biomarkers. Everybody and their brother was getting the most extensive, expanded metabolic genetic test they could, which I'm all for. You know, I think so many people suffer in silence and have these issues that pop up because they never even go, you know, a couple of years and just get a baseline physical. So sometimes there's too much information I think a lot of people are getting access to, and it begins to kind of be counterproductive, and they stress out and worry and cause other problems. But I feel like a lot of people were getting those things done in 2023, but I feel like because they had enough of them, now is the year of actually application, understanding application, instead of just, hey, I got my panels, here's how much I rock, or here's how much I suck. Now we're actually going to be implementing them.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you are using it to your advantage and changing some of these things, then yes, that's a good thing. But there's also the data overload. There's people who have wearables, the rings, the watch, all this bullshit. Yeah.
I'm double dipping.
Yeah. You got all this stuff, but like, I'm sure.
But it doesn't rule my life.
Yeah.
It's a nudge every day.
Person who just like, you're like, all right, I have this information and I'm kind of keeping track of it, but whatever. There are other people who have this shit and they still look like fucking hell. I'm
Yeah.
like, it doesn't matter what wearable or what the data says. If you still know you're eating like shit, if you're not going to the gym, this stuff doesn't mean anything.
No, not at all.
You know?
No.
But like I encourage people all the time to get like blood work done. It was something that I've only done for the first time 4 years ago.
Really?
3 years ago. Yeah. And
So you're the person I'm talking about.
yeah,
It's going
and
years and years without getting at least a physical.
yeah,
Gotta get
I
those
would
labs,
never,
man.
I would never go. And I got a blood work done, and I found that I have a cyst on my pituitary gland. Like my testosterone levels were so low.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that they were like, you need to go for a CAT scan. I go, why would I need to go for a CAT scan with my testosterone being low?
Yeah, why are you
They're like,
freaking me out?
it's so low that there needs to be something wrong with your pituitary gland.
Ah,
So that's when I went for a CAT scan.
oh wow.
Yeah. So now I need to get it checked like every 6 to 8 months.
Okay.
I have to go for a CAT scan on it. But you could play oh my God, I'm dying. But like there was a good 2-week period where I'm like, they were like, well, we have to check if it's
Anything
cancerous.
brain related. If
Yeah.
any medical professional said, "Hey, get your brain checked out," yeah, I'm freaking out a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. Well, there was a 2-week period where I'm like, they're like, well, we have to check if it's cancerous or not. And I'm like, oh fuck, brain cancer. That doesn't sound like a fucking good time. And I didn't even want to tell my mother because I'm like, she's gonna fucking lose it.
She's gonna kill me.
Yeah,
If the thing in my brain does it, she will.
Yeah, because my dad passed away in 2019.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah.
2021. And I'm like, this is gonna send this motherfucker through a loop.
Mm.
So I was like, I should just keep this to myself. But I'm like dying inside because I'm like, this is gonna suck. I'm like, what? And now you start evaluating. You're like, what am I gonna do before I die?
Yeah,
And like,
yeah.
how much do I have in the bank to really have a good time? You know,
Dude, I think about it.
But
a
knock
lot.
on wood, thank God it
Yeah.
wasn't anything.
You're
And
here
they're
with
like,
us.
Yeah, they're like, just keep an eye on it because if it does grow, then you could lose your fucking eyesight from it. And it's like they got to crack your skull open, and they say it's pretty common. Like there are a lot of people who have it, so that's why they encourage people. Like if your testosterone levels are coming back low or your HGH levels come back low, you should get it checked.
Yeah.
Even estrogen. There's a ton of stuff that your pituitary gland's responsible for.
Yeah.
That like if it's severely low, there could be something wrong.
I got a great labs company. I'll share with you off air. Cannot recommend them enough. Just like you can get a great little snapshot. You can get the whole damn Bible of like your genetic coding and all that. It's incredible. Great information.
But at the end of the day, you could get all the blood work you want done. If you're not doing the simplest shit, it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
Go to the gym, eat better, sleep as much as you can,
And even whatever the labs do say to a certain degree, we're actually learning now the level to which that you can manipulate those things and even undo them. Even things like what's in your genetic testing, you can actually undo a lot. You can rewrite your genetic coding to a certain degree.
I forget where I heard it, and I don't, obviously like you hear so much shit on the internet, but there was, they said 5% of your chances of, mortality are from genetics.
Oh,
The rest is lifestyle.
I believe it,
95%
yeah.
is lifestyle. So it's like, you could be like, oh, I love when you hear like some fat bastard be like, my whole family's fat. No shit. You're a
Yeah.
victim of your surroundings.
They all have diabetes.
Yeah.
I have diabetes, high blood pressure. It's just victim mentality.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that is to me, that is the fucking worst. That there's nothing that makes my blood boil more. Because I go, if I realize this at fucking 13, you could realize this at 33. Like, come on, don't give me that bullshit. Like, my whole family's fat. Okay, so why don't you not be fat? How's that?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and there can't be more information. I was just telling this story to somebody the other day. I was like, at 13, in 1996, the only way I could learn about fitness is through a magazine. There's no internet. There was no internet and stuff. Like there was no blogs about this shit.
Yeah, you couldn't just be in your bed at home like, okay, let me learn some stuff maybe
Yeah.
in secret and private that I'm, curious about. You had to probably ask your parents, hey, take me to the store, take me to the magazine shop. You had to go out of your way.
I tell this story all the time. I would go to this magazine shop across the street from my high school and rip the pages out that I wanted to do the workouts in, or I'd steal the magazine. I was like, because I couldn't ask my dad, for a $7 magazine or $6 magazine because I want the workout in it,
Damn, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, it's always a pleasure to see you, man.
I appreciate you having me on, dude.
I love sitting down with you. Your no bullshit attitude and approach is just so refreshing.
I appreciate it.
And I love everything you guys are doing strong in New York. And I know we're early in the year now, but I saw that you guys already announced
October
it.
5th, baby.
It's my birthday, bro.
Are you coming out?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's gonna be sick. So we're gonna do it at the same spot. We're gonna
Yeah.
do it
Okay.
at
Cool.
Brad's house again. You know, and we're just gonna try to up the ante. We're gonna try to do more, have bigger names there.
Yeah.
Obviously, like we've had such a great group of people that have done it throughout the years, and you know, it's just a matter of like finding like who's really hot right now, and what we could do to make it better, and how we could service the community more. Like last year, we had Rudy Reyes and we had the Garmin people do a free workout outside. So we want to keep doing like the free workout stuff just to provide for the people that are like, well, I can't afford the ticket. It's like, all right, well, I want to keep the price point a little higher because I want it to be more of an experience. I don't just want it, like you said, I don't want it to just be an expo. I want people to come and, you know, network and engage and hang out and make it a fun experience.
And
yeah. And then space in New York at the end of the day is fucking expensive.
Yeah,
it's like,
true.
I don't have a 50,000 square foot venue that I could just be like, yeah, everybody could come in for $20. It's like, no, I got to keep it high, and you got to keep the, you know, the event at a certain level because it's.
Well, what do they say, man? You know, when people pay, they pay attention.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, especially when you're dealing with
100%.
your health, your life.
100%.
Yeah.
Like I pay for personal. I buy what I sell. I pay for a personal trainer, and yesterday I had to be there, and I'm like, I'm there because I need that time and I want that time, and I'm paying a premium for it, so I better show the fuck up.
Absolutely, man.
So,
Well, that mentality is exactly what Everforward Radio is all about. It's what I mean when I say live a life ever forward. I want to ask you those two words, ever forward. Kenny, what do they mean to you, man?
you could always improve. No one's at the top of their game. You know, you could look at the best athletes in the world. There's always some improvement that they could have made, something that they could have done different. You know, so if you're always looking to improve as a father, a friend, a brother, a employee, a leader, whatever it is, it's like always move forward and try to do better. You know, I hate this cancel culture bullshit where everybody wants to get like give people the opportunity to get better, give people an opportunity to change and improve and get better. I think that's what ever forward means to me.
There's never a right or wrong answer. I appreciate everyone's interpretation. And, you know, truly every time I sit down with somebody, but especially when I get them back on the show, man, it's just a continuous learning and relearning and going back to basics for what got me here in the first place. And so it's so good to sit down with you again, man, and grateful for our friendship over the years.
Congratulations on how much this has grown.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. You know, I'll always sit down with you in a coffee house no matter what. We can go back to the roots.
Well, yeah, no, listen, when I was trying to find somebody who had a big podcast, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm just going to have him fucking like.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yeah. And we'll definitely be there again.
Cool.
In October. I love being back in New York that time of year. And yeah, birthday celebrations for sure.
Yeah, we'll have a little cake for you.
Yeah.